Hello guys and welcome to the NW Sportscast. We got a kind of fun video to start off the new year, 2024. What's the year before that? 2023, and we're going to be doing all Seattle sporting teams. We're going to be giving them different awards. We got MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Team of the Year. Stay tuned for all of those. But the first one we're going to be getting into, Levi, is one of my favorites. What is the game of the year across all Seattle sports that you're going to give out this award to?
Yeah, there's a lot that come to mind. Obviously, the Mariners played a lot of great games, and the Kraken had a lot of great games.
Yeah.
The Huskies, but in my opinion, it came down to two for me. And both of these games was game-winning drives for the Seattle Seahawks. I went with the Seahawks upset win on Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. Drew Lock and the boys getting it done. Yeah.
I think that was the game of the year for a couple reasons. First off, we had lost 4 straight, and we needed that game so badly. And second off, it was Drew Lock against Jalen Hurts. There's no reason why we should have won that game, and yet we did. Our defense that had struggled for most of the season played really well that game. Our offense did just enough, and Drew Lock's 92-yard game-winning drive, it was majestic. So that is my official 2023 game of the year for Seattle sports. Drew, let's hear it. What's yours?
You know, it's hard to go against that. Again, there's a lot of good Mariner games that come to mind. A few great games against the Yankees. A really good game with Cade Marlowe.
The walk-off grand slam. Yeah,
Angels.
I thought about that.
A lot of good games. But I'm going to go to another football game, different team. It's going to be the Huskies.
Yeah.
And I got the first win against the Oregon Ducks.
Ooh, yeah.
The second one was quite enticing to pick, but I think that was just, as far as entertainment value, a little bit less fun to watch. That first game, wow. Yeah. Back and forth. We get a stop on fourth down. We get our drive. We score a touchdown, and then they miss the field goal to put the Oregon Ducks tied with the Washington Huskies. And that kind of kickstarted this. The Huskies are actually really good this year.
Yeah.
And now you see them in the championship game. I mean, what better game than beating the terrible, no good, terrible, awful Ducks, at home by 3 points. It's a great win, and that's my game of the year.
Yeah, that's a great choice, Drew. All right, next category, we got most disappointing. This is kind of a sadder award, but we thought we might want to touch on this. So, Drew, what is your most disappointing?
I mean, I could pick a lot of different players. I could go a lot of different ways here, but I'm going to go as an entire team. And I'm sure you guys at home will kind of guess where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It's none other than your Seattle Mariners. They missed the playoffs after making the playoffs a year prior with an arguably better team. Not sure exactly what happened. A lot of the young guys got better. J.P. Crawford got better. All our pitchers seemed to get slightly better. Julio Rodriguez improved. But then we don't make the playoffs. Guys like Ty France kind of fall off. Eugenio Suarez. You got guys like Colton Wong, Teo. Yeah. They all start to really fall off. And this is a team that anything outside of the playoffs was a disappointment. And I think that's why they are the most disappointing team in the year 2023.
Yeah, I can agree with that. For me, I approach this with the angle of giving this to one single player. And if you guys have watched the channel throughout the summer, you would know that I have never once missed an opportunity to hate on this player. I even hated on him when he was on the Dodgers. Colton Wong is my most disappointing player for the Seattle Sports.
It's a good one.
And the reason he's so disappointing is because he was coming off of his second best year of his career. He was a multiple-time All-Star, Gold Glove winning, and what we thought was that even if he doesn't put up amazing numbers, there's no way he could be worse than what we've got at second base over the past 5 seasons.
No way.
We were wrong. In fact, the curse of Robinson Cano has gotten even worse. That was the worst season I've ever seen from a starting second baseman in my lifetime as a Mariners fan since probably, I don't even remember.
Since no one hit 160.
I know, 160.
With
that's
bad
terrible.
Defense. I mean, he was terrible. He was absolutely awful.
And what made it even worse was he went to the Dodgers and hit 300 for them. And
limited games, but still.
And hit a walk-off single against the Mariners in Seattle as a member of the Dodgers. I mean, it does not get any more disappointing than that. So he is, of course, my most disappointing player of the 2023 year.
We're going to go back to a positive spin on this. We're going to go most unsung hero of the year 2023. Levi, who do you got?
Well, again, if you know the channel, you know who I'm probably going to say. I love this player so much for the Seahawks, and I do believe he is the most valuable player on this Seattle Seahawks offense, I'm going with Abraham Lucas. When
Love
he
it. What
is-
a pick.
When he is healthy, he
What a pick.
changes
That's
the
a great
offense.
pick,
You
yes.
saw how it looked. The game before he came back against
Wow.
the 49ers, our offense was dead. And then against the Cowboys, we scored 35 points and almost won the game. So Abe Lucas,
Jeez.
he is my best unsung hero. Drew, how about you?
I love that pick out of you, Levi. Mine
Yeah.
is a guy that's a little bit more sung than Abraham Lucas, but I think especially on a national level, does not get the recognition he deserves. This is a guy that finished top 10 in Cy Young voting. I think arguably our best pitcher,
Yeah.
it's George Kirby.
George Kirby,
And
love
going
it.
into his third year, he might be one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. And in his second year, every big game, he pretty much showed up. The one that comes to mind first, against the Orioles, he went 9 shutout innings. And we ended up losing the game. It goes back to my most disappointing team, the Seattle Mariners. But this is a guy that just was rock solid pretty much all year long. In his second year,
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And on a national level, he's not getting the recognition he deserves. But I'm sure the Mariners and most of their fans know how important this guy is to the team and how big of a piece he will be in the future.
Yeah, that's a great one. You know, you could talk about Logan Gilbert there as well. Both of those guys, I think,
Yeah.
massively
It's true.
underrated.
It's a good one.
Not only nationally, I think also the Mariners fans in general sometimes underrate Logan Gilbert just because of how good Castillo and Kirby are. All right, next category. I think we both have the same one here. This is Coach of the Year. Obviously, there's really only 4 candidates. You've got, you know, the 4 major. I guess you could throw the Sounders in there, so 5 candidates. But out of all of the teams in Seattle, there's only one guy who I thought about, Drew. So we announced it together.
Yeah, I think we might have the same one here, Levi.
Yeah.
We'll see. I was thinking about coordinators. I was thinking about going a
Okay,
different way with
okay.
this. You know, maybe a Mariners bullpen coach thrown in there. But, you know, I think it's pretty obvious. We got
Kalen
Kalen DeBoer. I mean,
Yeah.
he has been amazing. He's been the
It's
best
so
coach
hard
in
to have
all
an
of college
undefeated
football. The best coach in all of college football. He draws up the most exciting plays. Get him as our offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. I want that guy, Kalen DeBoer. Absolutely amazing. 14-0 season to the national championship. This is obviously, you know, I guess 13-0 in 2023. But this guy, I mean, wow, coming from Sioux Falls and then, you know, doing all these little schools like Eastern, you know, Michigan, I believe it was, a lot of different schools, and then finally gets his chance in a Power 5 conference at UW, and he just takes advantage of it. And
Yeah.
in 2 years, completely turns around this team that with Jimmy Lake was really struggling, you know, opening their season with a loss to Montana State, and then he figures out, a way to turn that team into now he's won like 17 or something like that game straight. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, DeBoer has been so good. He never lost to a ranked opponent. Yeah, he's the coach of the year. I mean,
Yeah.
you could talk about Pete Carroll and what he's done with the Seahawks, but you know, I feel like the Seahawks have kind of underperformed this year, whereas the Huskies have completely overperformed, even where the projections thought they would be
Yeah.
at. All right, 3 more to go, guys. Rookie of the year. This is one where there's a couple guys that come to mind. The Mariners didn't have a ton of rookies. Seattle Seahawks, though, did, and so did the Seattle Kraken, so it's interesting to see. Drew, who is your pick for Rookie of the Year?
Devin Witherspoon was the first guy that crossed my mind, and he deservedly so changed this defense for the Seahawks. But when you look at a unit as the whole, that defense, hasn't really been changed that much by Devin Witherspoon, and that's why I'm going to go with a guy that's really meaningfully changed, not just his unit, but his team as a whole, in Matty Beniers. We're going to go over to ice hockey for the Seattle Kraken. He's, he was like one of the best rookies in all of hockey, ends up leading them into the playoffs and gets a playoff win. I mean, what more can you ask for from a rookie? He exceeded all expectations, and the expectations were already really, really high. This was a guy that was arguably one of our best players, if not our best player, as a rookie. This dude was incredible. I think saying anybody else would be an absolute shame. But who do you got? Who is your counter?
Yeah, well, I was between Bryce Miller and Devin Witherspoon, and I went with
Miller's
Devin
not
Witherspoon.
close. Yeah, okay.
I went with Devin Witherspoon. I maybe this is a little recency. Beniers hasn't been playing as well this season, but obviously last year was his rookie year, and the second half of his rookie season was so good. But carrying the Kraken into the playoffs, I mean, he was excellent. But I am going with Devin Witherspoon because I think Witherspoon I think he has a chance to be the next Richard Sherman. I think he has a chance to be a franchise-altering cornerback, the type of player that, he's going to go to multiple Pro Bowls. He might have an outside shot
It's
at the
like
Hall
a better
of Fame.
and better pick at 5.
It
really
looks like an
does.
incredible pick. I think he's an absolute stud, and he's already the best player on the Seahawks defense, which is saying a lot. So, yeah, I'm going Devin Witherspoon, Rookie of the Year.
All right, we got 2 more, Levi. This is maybe the most intriguing one. It's Team of the Year.
Yeah.
Who do you have?
Well, I was between 2 on this, and so we in 2023, 2 Seattle teams we got to watch in the playoffs. The Seahawks in January, they lost, they got blown out, and then we saw this other team make the playoffs and actually win a playoff series, their first in franchise history. The Seattle
Huskies?
Kraken.
Oh,
The Huskies won it in 2024.
okay.
That was
they made the playoffs in 2023.
They made it in 23, but we didn't actually see them win it in 2023. We did
argument.
see in the spring the Kraken winning their first ever playoff games, their first ever playoff series, and making a kind of serious run towards the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Just
it
got knocked
ended.
out by the Stars.
It ended in disappointment, but to see what they did, they went on 2 really, really good runs. They're getting great scoring from all their guys, great goaltending. I mean, this is a team that they were supposed to be this second-year team, kind of still finding their footing, and they turned into a playoff team with serious championship aspirations. So I'm going with the Seattle Kraken as my Team of the Year. I've been to a couple Kraken games now. Super fun atmosphere. I'm still
Super
kind of
fun.
trying
Wow.
to get in.
Best
to
atmosphere
my-
of the year? Best atmosphere of any team?
It's hard to argue still
Between
with
them and the Seahawks?
well, I was at the Apple Cup, so that's probably the
Oh,
best
interesting.
atmosphere. But the Apple Cup is a crazy atmosphere. But yeah, I'm still kind of trying to getting into my Kraken fan. But the more I watch them, the more I get involved watching this team, the more I enjoy them, and the more that I think this is gonna be one of my favorite teams going forward.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I'm gonna go with the obvious one here.
Yeah,
The Washington
undefeated,
Huskies.
Yeah,
They go 14-0 last year, Pac-12. They beat the Oregon Ducks not once,
but
twice. Beat their rivals in Wazoo. This was such a fun team to watch.
Yeah, a little
Lived
bit
up
of
to the
bias
hype.
there, I guess, because I'm a Wazoo Cougar now. So
True, I guess so. Lived up to the hype that they had at the start of the year
Yeah.
and more. And it's a team that obviously they did end up beating Texas, not in 2023, but as a collective team, I think there's no one else to pick. Kraken, a good team, but did they have a loss? Yeah, I think they had
Well,
many.
obviously,
I think they had many. And the Huskies,
Yeah.
you know what, they never had a singular loss, and that's why I'm going to pick them. A really good team, but I like the Kraken pick for sure. Last one we got here, Levi, is our MVP, and I'm going to start it off here. Throw him a fastball down the middle. He'll go deep. Let him make a play in the center field. He's your guy. He's the stud, the one, the only, the guy from the Dominican Republic. It's Julio Rodriguez. And he's the MVP of all Seattle sports. He's an absolute dog. That August he had was quite literally the best month of a baseball player ever. I mean, he was on a different planet. That was so fun to watch. He really started to heat up. He was not the reason the Mariners did not make the playoffs and started to fall apart in September. He was anything but that. And he was just, he improved in pretty much every facet of the game. Every tool he had, he improved, and that's our guy. I mean, that's Julio Rodriguez, the general. He's the dude, and I think he's maybe the only pick in my eyes.
Yeah, Drew, I do agree that Julio Rodriguez is the MVP of Seattle sports, but just for the sake of this video,
Okay.
I'm going to bring up the guy who I view as the very strong runner-up, and that is the guy on your Team of the Year, Michael Penix Jr.
Man.
When you look at it, talking about MVP, he was certainly the most valuable player to the Huskies. I think, for a team that obviously making this their second only ever college football playoff appearance, their first since 2016, and Michael Penix Jr. played really well all season. He was the man for that team. I mean, what can you say? The second quarterback,
He was a dog.
or not the second,
He
but the
was.
first quarterback since Mahomes to throw for 4,500 passing yards back-to-back seasons. That is not easy to do, especially
Second in the
when,
Heisman race. Yeah,
especially
he's really
in college.
good.
And you only play 14 games in college. Not like the NFL, you're playing 18 games a season. He in 3 less games in the NFL, Michael Penix is putting up NFL passing yard numbers. He's crazy
Ridiculous.
good. And when I think MVP, I do think there's a little bit, what did you do? What did you accomplish in the postseason? Julio, obviously not all his fault, but his team didn't make the postseason.
Did not.
Michael Penix Jr.'s team did make the postseason.
It's true.
And the postseason is actually way harder to get to in college football as well. So maybe
Yeah.
Michael Penix Jr. is just
Good
the
point.
outright MVP. I don't know. But I think those two are the clear favorites.
Yeah, both guys definitely have, an argument to be made for
Yeah.
the MVP of all Seattle sports. I end up giving the nod to Julio Rodriguez. Michael Penix, maybe he can be in his race next year as a Seattle Seahawk.
Maybe he can.
We'll see. But yeah, I think that'll do it.
So overall, guys, 2023, pretty good year for Seattle, all things considered. We got to see two of our teams in the playoffs. We got to see the Huskies go undefeated. Unfortunately, the two kind of big market teams, the Seahawks have kind of sputtered, and the Mariners obviously didn't make the playoffs either, but they still, the Mariners winning season, Seahawks probably going to have a winning season as well. So
Sounders had a good year.
yeah,
You
Sounders
guys
had
care
a
about
good
that?
year.
I don't know how many Sounders fans are in the audience. They ended up
Probably not,
losing in the
yeah.
playoffs, but yeah.
Yeah, so
There's that.
overall, 2023 for Seattle was a pretty successful year, and hopefully just 2024 will be even more better.
Yeah, for sure. All right, if you made it all to the end of the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. We're kind of, we're on an upward trajectory here. We're going to try to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
By the end of 2024, that's our
So-
new